So one of the things that I spend a lot of my time doing is watching the birds and really paying attention to who they like being around and what their preferences are, I guess, about who they live with and who they're picking on or who bothers them, that kind of stuff. So I really pay a lot of attention to their behavior. And I was going to mention from my very first video why this giant cage only has 3 birds in it. And that's why. Because way back when we had only a couple of nests, no, it's all the way back to when we only had one nest that had babies. And Mama Bird was working on her second nest. And the young brothers were picking on the babies. Like, they actually killed them. So my first separation was putting Mom and Dad and the nesting into a cage of their own. So that was the very first separation. The next one was that the boys were also picking on some of the other birds once we had more in there. So as new brothers and sisters came into the flock, those two were picking on the younger ones. So I kind of ended up filtering them out. Neither one of them are in this cage right now, but there is one of the culprits in here that was picking on some of the birds. And that is why these two are over here on their own. So they were getting picked on a little while ago. Like, what I mean by picked on is actually fighting to the point of blood. And that's really dangerous for birds. So when I see that happening, more than just a regular fussing over a particular toy or treat or something, if it's that kind of a fighting that's happening, I definitely go in and manage that. So those two are on their own for that reason. These two are in this cage alone because they're the current breeding pair. And as we know, Cobalt, the one that's very social when he flies around, he still likes to go back to his own cage. He was one of them that was getting picked on a lot and had to get separated out of this big cage. So he still likes to go over and say hi. And when they're all out flying, they fly around together and stuff. But even on their outside time, when they're socializing outside of their cages, they still pick on each other. So I try to monitor that as much as I can. These two down here, they have a decent size enclosure to themselves. And they've just always liked to be together. So the 3 in there, the lighter colored green, that's Baby. The very pretty dark green back there, that's Emerald. And the white and blue, we call him Snow Flurry. So there's 2 girls and 1 boy in this one. I believe this one, let's see, which one are we looking at? The one down there that's running around and flying, I believe that's a boy. These are very young birds, but I believe he's a boy, and the other 2 are girls. And Cobalt, we've always believed was a boy, but his nose keeps changing colors, so sometimes I'm not sure. These 2 are definitely both girls. And then, obviously, the breeding pair. So, Larrikin on the right and Jinxie on the left. That's all my babies, and that's why there's one cage with only a few in it that's really big. Okay, have a good night.